And this week's question is, was brought to me by somebody, and they want to keep it anonymous. So here's the question: how does it feel to be adopted, and have you had any social issues or something like that because of your adoption? So here's my answer. I don't know any other way to feel. I don't have a comparison. I don't know how it feels to grow up in a family that you were born into. Don't know how that feels. It feels my adoption process. Here, let me tell you. I was born July of 1980 in a little town called Sogamoso, Colombia. You can Google it. It's not very big. And I was adopted in from Bogota, Colombia, because in 1982-ish or 3-ish, my birth mother decided to give me up. She just never came back from work one day, and she was renting a room from another lady, and that lady had enough kids to feed of her own, so she called the police, and they tried to find my birth mother, and my birth mother was nowhere to be found. And eventually, I was awarded to the state, if you will. And then I was put up. They had to find a orphanage that could handle my disability, and so I was moved to Bogota, Colombia, and that's where I was adopted from. So I was adopted from Bogota, Colombia in 1984. I was 4 years old. And then I was brought to New Jersey. Then I lived in Florida, and that's where my parents decided to adopt a second child. And then we moved to Texas, and then we moved to Minnesota because my mom needed a heart transplant. My adopted mom needed a heart transplant, and she was given a choice between Florida and Minnesota, but she was born and raised in Minnesota, and she wanted to be closer to family. So we moved to Minnesota, and then my adopted parents broke up, but they were that's another story that I'll get into at another day, so I don't want to distract from the story that I'm telling now. So the so as far as like being adopted, how do I feel about it? I feel fine. My parents, my adopted mother was as loving and caring and nurturing as she could be. She even went back to school. She was a journalist by trade. She had a bachelor's in journalism. And then she went back to get a master's in speech pathology because I had a linguistic issue. Having learned Spanish as my first language to coming to America and trying to learn English, it was a very difficult transition for me. And so she did an amazing thing by going back to college and getting that degree to help me. And so anyway, that happened. But then also my parents didn't treat me any different than I think a typical able-bodied person. If I wanted to play soccer, and back then before the ADA, I wanted to play on a regular team. I didn't want to play on Special Olympics. And my parents fought for my right to play on a regular soccer team, and that's exactly what I did. And I played all the way to varsity in high school. I played a little bit in college, just on a sort of a play team or whatever, not a serious team, but just a community team. And I taught how to play soccer for a little bit. But anyway, so whatever I wanted to do, my parents did the best that they could to advocate for what I wanted or what I needed. And they taught me, my adopted parents taught me that nobody can advocate for yourself better than yourself. And that's something that I tell my kids and tell my friends, like, if you need something, you need to speak up and tell somebody, because nobody can read your mind and nobody knows what's going on unless you say something. So speak up and advocate for yourself. So that's the lesson I learned mainly from my parents. So I have some struggles, like I have attachment disorder, which makes it very difficult for me to attach to people. I have more of an attachment disorder against women, probably because that was the main figure in my life when I got when my birth mother left me. That was the only parental figure I had in my life at that point. So, and I have attachment disorder in regards to men as well. So, it takes me a long time to really trust somebody, and things like that. So, if you're one of my friends, then it's not easy for me to trust people. Let's just put it that way. And so, anyway, so I have an attachment disorder that's really connected to my adoption, not my disability. I think that's the main issue as far as what like problems I have because I'm adopted, is just getting attached to people. It's difficult for me. So I hope that answered your question. If you have any other questions, leave them down below, or email me at Carrie Ann, that's one word, Nurmi, all one word, at gmail.com, Carrie Ann Nurmi at gmail.com. I will put it in the description below. Yeah, so I hope this video was informative, and it answered your question. I'll be posting another video for next week, so I'm looking forward to answering more of your questions. Nothing's really off the table, it's got to be, community, it's got to follow the community standards for YouTube, but I can answer pretty much anything. I'm a pretty open book when it comes to things like this, because I feel like education is how we all learn, and by having people be open about their life, about their experiences, that's how we all learn from each other, is by opening ourselves up. So if you're an adopted parent, meaning you've adopted a child, and you would like some more ask me more questions, then please do so with the heading on the email, question for YouTube or whatever, so that I address it at the right platform. If you have comments, topic ideas or collaboration ideas, go ahead and put collaboration on the title of your email, and put collaboration YouTube, so that I know that it's what platform we're talking about. So anyway, and if you're an adopted kid and you're struggling with finding yourself, or finding your village, figuring out where you belong, because I was raised, I'm Latin because I was born in Colombia, but I was raised by white parents, so I also felt a little identity crisis, if you will. Like, am I white or am I Colombian, or what the deal is? Where do I belong in what community do I belong in? And when I was in high school, it was really, I wasn't really accepted by the white kids, and I wasn't really accepted by the Latino kids, because I didn't speak fluent Spanish, and I didn't speak, I spoke fluent English, but I don't always know what words mean in the context. So, yeah, so I just wasn't, I never felt like, especially in high school, I belonged in one community, one village or the other. I sort of was more of a floater, so I was, I had sector friends over here and a sector friends over there, and I could really like melt in either community, but so yeah, so that's something sometimes people with adoptions struggle with, is finding their village. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. Thanks again for watching a video. Again, my name is Carrie Ann Nomi, and I hope you guys have a blessed and happy day. And don't forget that the best advocate for you is you. Have a great day. Bye.